As a young girl, I recall my mum saying to me, "Naomi, life will come with struggles. The most important thing is the way in which we meet these challenges." Little did I know that her words were preparing me for my future. Fast forward. At 25, I am bright-eyed and bushy-tailed. I live in a vibrant share house with amazing friends just off Melbourne's iconic Chapel Street. I'm a graduate of one of the best universities in Australia. I had just finished a tenure as a one-year editor-elect of our illustrious student newspaper. I'm in love with my hard-working, cute, funny tradesman boyfriend who I'd later marry. We spend time together on the couch, going on dates and partying with friends on weekends. I'm passionate about writing. And then I had a trauma-induced nervous breakdown. I don't mean a meltdown or a series of complex emotional challenges. I literally mean I lost my marbles. I could not think rationally. My speech was pressured to the point that I could not speak in sentences, and my behaviour became increasingly erratic. There are some points of my life that no matter how hard I try, I will never ever forget. One of those moments was the absolute mortification of seeing my old neighbour peering out nosily from behind her window while I was frog-marched across my front lawn and shoved into the back of a divisional van by police. I was terrified, humiliated. Why am I here? What is happening? What is that smell? Urine? Where are they taking me? A locked ward? A psychiatric ward? Wait a minute, they're throwing chairs. And there, amidst the volatility and the chaos, I was forcibly medicated. That medication made me exhausted, nauseous, sedated, and feel dead. Wow, from esteemed graduate to lockdown, I was overwhelmed by the journey that lay ahead in terms of my recovery. One Friday night, I was ruminating about the whole experience, and after emptying 3 bottles of really cheap wine and having a big fight with my boyfriend, who I knew was going to abandon me, I decided it would be easier if I killed myself. And so I tried. My story could have ended there, like some 3,000 Australians each year. Suicide is the leading cause of death in our country between the ages of 15 and 44. Higher than our national road toll. But what if I told you this? Maybe storytelling could change that. Over the course of the next decade, I painstakingly walked towards recovery. It was like doing a cha-cha. 2 steps forward, 5 steps back, but I didn't dare stop. Finally, I started speaking in sentences again. Eventually, I got up the courage to share parts of my story through writing. Amazingly, my words were picked up by Yahoo Lifestyle, Elephant Journal, and the Huffington Post. It wasn't until all of that happened that I realised I'm a writer again. As editor of the Good Men Project, I wrote a tribute to my stoic husband for his unconditional love and support. I never would have made it without his tenderness and willingness to help love me back together. He brought me back to life. At the Osmompreneur Conference, it hit me. I needed to write a book. This was going to be tough, wading through every lived experience. Little did I know that writing my story would change me. Australia's first people told stories through Dreamtime to convey important lessons to the next generation. And here's what I learned. To heal, you need self-reflection. To combat old negative beliefs, you need to shine a light in the darker corners of your being. The stories that you do not want to tell are the ones that most want to be heard. There is something profound and powerful in hearing someone's story. When you listen to someone's story, it validates them. They feel heard. It promotes recovery. And by reclaiming your own story, you take control of the narrative. You can choose the direction in which you want that story to go. And that is the key to freedom. Like my mum predicted, my biggest struggles became my greatest lessons. I had hit rock bottom, but let me assure you that rock bottom is a completely fine and solid foundation upon which you can rebuild your life. Numerous medical opinions and prognoses said I would never leave the public mental health system or go back to work. They did not think I would get off the cocktail of medications. But you can have your tea rooms, your hefty pay packets, your swipe tags to get in and out, your medical degrees and the letters behind your name, because this is my story. I'm a survivor, I'm a writer, and I'm an author. I'm a mum, I'm a wife, and I'm a fierce mental health advocate. And I'm not just sharing all this in the hope that it gets back to that old nosy neighbour. Although now that I think about it, I kind of hope it does. In my vision, the future goes like this. We champion diverse voices and stories from around the world. And as global citizens, we engage and we listen. This will create a paradigm shift. We'll recover better. We'll feel seen, heard, understood, and respected. In the grips of a global pandemic, we must value human life like never before. The grace that helped to save my life also compelled me to share my story. And so I challenge you to share your hard story with a neighbour, a co-worker, or a stranger on the train, because they're the ones that bring us together. And ask them to tell you their hard story too. In a world where we are brave enough for the uncomfortable stories, we might just save lives.